All right, Joe. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Exciting.
Exciting. So let's go ahead and we'll start right off the bat with some origin stories.
It's a good idea. We went through a little bit doing this, but not a lot. But I will admit, though, Trey was pretty much the one that got it all done.
Um, the thing is I like to think that I'm a real podcast aficionado, but I really only listen to a couple. You're the one who actually knows a lot more about podcasting than I do, at least how they're set up. And
I was going to say, I do listen to, I listen probably on the average to 8 to 10 hours of podcast a day only because of my job, but I don't know anything about podcasts. I'm just listening. I do know that one thing I do with podcasts, I don't know if you do, is I'll even be into a podcast a lot, like a daily podcast, not so much a podcast like a murder,
yeah,
but just a daily, like an
Yeah.
Adam Carolla type.
yeah, they're putting out.
It doesn't matter who it is. I'll listen. Maybe it'll be a year, maybe it'll be 2 years. I get sick of them quick.
Yeah, but I mean, like you said, you're listening to 8 to 10 hours.
Yeah.
I'm barely awake for that amount of time.
Yeah.
No. So the origin of this podcast really came down to the fact that listening to my podcasts, I'm a big fanatic, I guess you could say, of just putting stuff out there. And
Also, Trey, I think, is a big fan of Trey Kennedy.
Huge fan of Trey Kennedy. Huge fan of the Ghost Runners podcast. That's actually probably my favorite. I'm wearing some merch from the Ghost Runners podcast actually right now.
I'll have to check that out because I know somebody got a tattoo for it too.
That would probably be me.
Oh, that was you. Okay.
No, but yeah. So the origin. One night we were just sitting in the living room here at my in-laws' house, and we just started talking about what if we started a podcast. And first it just started out with what would we even name a podcast?
Right. And that took forever. Although I'll admit 90% of the ideas were just dumb,
Oh yeah, we just sat there and started just random firing stuff, and so much of it was so bad.
So the origin of where we're at right now is a little interesting because we were like, we should name it whatever, Trey and Joe's podcast. We should name it this and that. It's not even important, but me and Trey are going to make dumb things important for sure.
Oh, for sure. That's the whole point of this.
Yeah. And we came up with Tender Mercies, which I don't really know what that is, but I do know that I hear it all the time. That cracked me up.
Yeah, one thing you got to know about us is we come from a pretty religious area, and Tender Mercies get brought up quite a bit. And so this is just a little bit of taking a very serious thing and making it not very serious.
Although there is another origin to Tender Mercies.
Of course.
Which is my band.
Oh, yeah.
I have two bands. It's kind of cool. I'll let you guys know about it. One's called Tender Mercies. Not anymore, though. And then I have one that's called Heavily Influenced. Just plays Black Sabbath all day.
Heavily influenced.
So everything I say is pretty much not true if it sounds cool.
Yeah. I just realized sitting here that we didn't introduce ourselves for our new listeners.
That's right. To all our fans.
To all of our fans.
We apologize.
The dozens of you that will listen over the next 20 to 30 years.
Patreon, guys. It's only going to cost you $18 a month.
$18 a day.
A day. Just kidding. It's free.
Patreon. We'll go more into that when
we blow up.
When the time comes. But anyways, no. So I'm Trey. I'm
Trey,
and this is Joe here to my right. Joe, UPS driver.
Hi.
Trey, accounting secretary. Yeah. So
that's what we do in the day, and then at night we podcast.
Yeah, this is my real job.
Exactly. Why is it that my real job always doesn't pay any money?
Yeah, that they say do what you love, and I'm doing it, and it's not working out the way I thought it would.
It will. We'll kill it.
Yeah.
I mean, guys like Howard Stern or whoever, those guys are fart in the wind compared to us.
Yeah, and those guys started out as celebrities and then got talk shows, and it's like that's not impressive. You already had a following.
Yeah.
Imagine have to build your own.
Yeah, big whoop. You went to America's Got Talent. You look like a dork in it. Now I'm just being mean.
We'll leave that in.
So I'll admit I was a big Stern fan forever, and I'm not anymore. 90 Stern cracked me up. These days, he's just either politically correct or gross. So I dropped him a couple years ago.
So this will be something that'll be fun. Is you have to try to guess how old we are. We're not going to say,
That's
but
good.
we're just going to leave like clues like that. Where
Right.
Joe loved '90s Stern, and I'll just be honest. I was too young to catch the Stern train. I mean, obviously, I've seen clips and things, but
He's pretty hated by the younger generation for sure, because all the clips that come out are all his stuff that he did like in the 90s. He actually, there's a clip that came out. Well, it's been out. I actually watched this when it happened. It's on the E Show. He used to have a show on the E Show.
yeah,
That's the thing that addicted everybody to Howard Stern in the 90s, was that E Show.
the E Network.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And anyways, there's a clip they put out recently with Anna Nicole Smith, I think. I don't know if you know who that is, but she was like a model in the 90s. And anyway, she went on Stern, and Stern was trying to weigh her because he kept pretty much calling her fat.
Yeah.
And I was listening to that. Not that I'm trying to act like I'm Mr. paying attention on all that, but man, I'm such a dork. I started tearing up.
No, I mean that's terrible.
I can't believe that, and I can't believe in the '90s how just normal that was. No one even thought anything about
Yeah,
it.
nobody. Yeah, nobody like reacted to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I've seen that clip, and it's pretty messed up, and yeah, that was Howard Stern for you.
Yeah, but I mean, now we got the Trey Joe show. We don't know.
Whatever it's going to be called.
Sounds like it's going to rhyme all the time.
So this is why Joe has a band. Is he has bars that he has to get out.
Oh, they're sick. They are sick.
Oh man. So I don't know if he's still here, but I just got a text from Colby who said he has a great segment that he wants to do.
All right, you know what? Let's take a 4-second break. I'm going to grab them.
All right. All right.
We're back.
We're back after Colby's story.
Colby just told us a story that we're going to have to pretty much blank out the whole thing.
You'll get to hear like adjectives and adverbs. You're not going to get to hear any names, who did what, why.
And don't worry, guys. We will talk smack about people around here. That one, though, it's just a little...
That one hit way close to home. Way too close to home.
So anyway, I want to make this show really fun. So what's your favorite color?
Oh. Obviously, any of the colors on the pride flag. You can't go wrong.
Black. That's not a bad... You know what? That's not a bad choice.
Well, we were talking about Howard Stern and being politically correct.
Right.
And I just want to make sure that when inevitably our civilization falls, that I fall on the right side of history. Or the left.
I get what you're saying, but I want that word you said, inevitably. I want when like even the population and everything starts going on, I want all those people to be addicted to Tender Mercies. Because we'll still be putting out shows, people.
Ooh, in our storm bunker. It's real, like, so yeah, just, hey, this is inside scoop for our listeners. If you work for the government, you have no right to listen to this part. So if you're working currently for the government, legally, you have to turn this off and listen strictly as a fan. We're building a storm bunker, an underground.
Yeah, nobody needs to know about it.
Nobody needs to know about it, but you can find us at the address in which we are currently recording.
Let's just put it this way. I got an extra lot, and we're living underground pretty soon.
No, and that's the thing, is this podcast really is going to thrive once we go underground.
Yeah, it's going to be called the Underground Tender Mercy Podcast.
One of the tender mercies that we'll have to talk about consistently is how we were able to get underground before, everything went bad.
Right.
No, so, well, I should probably reciprocate as a co-host to this podcast. Joe, what's your favorite color?
Oh, you know what? Well, first of all, as everybody around here, my family knows, I can't say that word even. Yes, I'll admit it right now, guys. I say collar. And the other way that you guys say it, the correct way, to me, it sounds like this. Color. So I'm right, you're wrong. I'll go with my favorite is, I'll say green.
Green. Not bad.
I don't know why.
No, hey, flavor of the day.
This is what you call gripping podcast.
I have a feeling that our engagement on this podcast is going to go way up when we get to this point. No, all right. Well, let's get down to some of the nitty gritty.
All right.
Let's talk about the rumor mill
All right.
around my place of employment.
Ooh. You sure you want to talk about that?
I'm not going to say names.
Okay.
I'm not even going to say where.
Okay, I wouldn't.
Yeah.
It's no big deal. Don't get me wrong.
Well, no, because and the thing is I'm high up. You heard me say this at the beginning. I'm an accounting secretary,
You heard that.
and just last week, I had an interview with the CEO of my company.
You heard that.
You heard that, and I sat down with our CEO for 15, 20 minutes.
Was it a good chat?
It was a great chat.
That's actually really cool.
And before I go into the juicy deets here, I will say this: there's a family in this town, very prominent. They have a sibling that was a member of the U.S. Congress.
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah.
Snowflakes. We live in Snowflake, Arizona.
We didn't say
to
that.
all our international fans.
Google us; you'll find us on the prominent people section of Wikipedia.
And we did. He's a senator, actually. I think.
Is he?
Yeah.
I thought
now he's not. He's a diplomat now. I think in Egypt, actually. I could
Turkey.
be wrong. Is it
Turkey.
Okay.
I think it's Turkey.
So, anyway, I don't know. Yeah, I guess that's one thing of fame we have around here.
Yeah.
What else do we have in Snowflake?
Snowflake. El Cupidos.
We got El Cupidos, guys. World famous. I ate El Cupidos today. I rarely eat it anymore, but Oh, you know what? I'll throw down a pro tip for my listeners right now.
Okay.
Get the mini Jake.
Oh.
It's the exact same thing as the big Jake.
No, it is.
It really is. I don't even know any difference since it's cheaper, but whatever.
It's cheaper, slightly smaller.
Not much though. I mean, still very filling.
No, but if you're someone like me, and I'm going to try to paint a mental picture here for our fans.
The man is gorgeous.
I appreciate that, but that might not be the image that gets painted here. Let's start with a hippo.
Hippo loss?
Yes,
Okay.
HIPAA loss. That's why I had to stop my work story midway through HIPAA. I signed an agreement. But no, we start with a hippo.
That was a DNR you signed. You didn't realize it. Just do not resuscitate.
I hope so. But and you make him the size of a giraffe, but give him the body weight of a blue whale.
Who are you talking about? You?
Myself.
Whatever.
And I'm going to say why. So pro tip, right? From Joe Lyman.
Yeah. Take those serious people. Write them down.
No.
Put them in your notes on your iPhone.
For sure. And if you have an Android, you should probably turn this podcast off.
Yeah, goodbye.
I was an Android user.
Were you?
Yeah.
Oh, gross.
When Tally and I got married.
Really?
I was an Android user.
We accepted you?
No.
Oh.
So we got married on a Friday. Honeymoon Saturday and Sunday, if you want to call it honeymooning.
Sounds like my honeymoon.
Honeymooning if you count driving 30 minutes.
So Trey is married to my daughter, just for all the Lobos out there.
Yes. And then Monday was Memorial Day, I believe, but Verizon was still open, so I went and got an iPhone.
Oh, is that right?
The following Monday.
Is it just so that we're all on the same iPhone or whatever?
Oh yeah, because
it does make a big difference.
No, I was told that I was not going to be a part of the group chat until I got an iPhone, which I don't blame. I don't blame you guys.
Who was that? Was that me? Was that Tally?
I think it was everybody.
Was it?
Yeah, I think a little bit. I think everyone was like, "Look, you're a great guy, but you're an Android user. We'll let you marry our daughter, but you have a 30-day trial in which if you don't switch over, it's over. Like we're annulling everything."
Right. Just completely just faithful to Apple.
No, for sure. Like if Steve Jobs walked in right now, I'd kiss him.
Yeah, I mean, on the cheek.
No, I would full lips.
Oh, that's actually really sweet.
No, and that's the thing is I think that truly Steve Jobs has revolutionized the world.
Well, actually, he's completely changed it for the worst, in my opinion. I'm being serious.
No, yeah, Tally and I talked about this last night.
I mean, I'm gonna always sound like an old guy on this podcast, but I don't care. There's two different, not even generations, because there's a ton of different generations, but let's just put these in two different generations. It's the people that were born with a smartphone already and people that were born with no smartphone and lived their whole life up till adults with no smartphone. And the thing is, we got to see what that was like. you didn't know it wasn't there, so you never missed it. I'll tell you, it was pretty inconvenient though. I mean, we used payphones. I always just walked around this town and blah blah blah. All that stuff's good, but everybody, including me, is just staring at screens now.
Oh no, for sure. But just to date myself, help the listeners figure out about how old I am. Um, I grew up in the generation where, growing up, we had house phones.
Oh, okay.
But they were the cordless, right? I was never tied to the wall or even to like a little machine. We had the cordless, wireless home phones,
Right.
and but then like I by the time cell phones were prominent, like truly prominent, I was old enough to watch my parents learn how to use
Oh,
flip
really?
phones, how
So
to.
what were you, like 10 or something?
I was younger. I was probably 6, 7, 8 when my parents really started getting into using flip phones and
That makes sense,
all of
actually.
that.
Yeah.
And then, like, by the time I was old enough to actually want a phone, that's when BlackBerry hit, and my mom had a BlackBerry for a little bit.
Yeah. I
Um,
think Lindsay had a BlackBerry, if I remember right.
yeah, no, and my mom, I don't think the BlackBerry lasted very long. One, because the iPhone came out
Yeah.
shortly thereafter, but two, like, unless you were like a traveling businessman,
Yeah.
there was really no need to have
Yeah.
a BlackBerry.
I always thought they looked worthless, but
Those buttons were too small.
yeah. Anyway, I gotta admit, I don't even think I ever used one. I just saw them. The other thing I was thinking about is you'll notice once this famous podcast becomes famous that I have no memory. I don't know, but like I was just saying about to Trey about the Apple phone or whatever. These guys have to remind me of everything. So
Oh yeah, one thing you're going to learn about us is we may tell the same story over and over again, and obviously that doesn't make for great content. But
it does with us.
no, and the other thing is too is we'll be sure to change a couple details so that the story feels new.
That's a
Right?
good idea. And then you know what we need to figure out? We have to have like a benediction, just joking. An end to the podcast. Why? See, I can't even think, but like we got to have a saying, like a nerdy radio.
Yeah.
Saying, like Nick DiPaolo says. I can't. I don't remember what Nick says. Any of you guys like just totally nutty, crazy political talk? Check out Nick DiPaolo.
And if there's one thing you guys need to know about me, it's that I'm uber political.
I'm not.
Let's talk politics. New segment.
You're not supposed to talk politics or religion, they always say.
Yeah, and we're gonna talk both.
We'll talk both.
Yeah.
Well, politics wise, actually, I don't know, man. You put out your politics.
No, here, but let me start here.
You get in this day and age. I'm gonna go back to the 90s, people. I don't remember any type of that. None. There were Democrats and Republicans.
Yeah.
There was a lot of partisanship. There was a lot of getting along. There was also a lot of bull crap.
Yeah.
Just like now. But now it seems like that's all there is.
Yeah.
Is just, I hate politics, if you want to know the truth. My family's pretty into politics, which keeps me interested, which I like, honestly. It's good to be, but I just hate to think politics all day.
No, for sure. But let's get into this into these politics, and we want to sound off with our listeners, so that they know where we're at.
I'm keeping it chill.
Yeah, no. I'll be the one that takes it too far. So let's start with this. Should we be listening to the national anthem pregame?
This is going to be controversial.
Yeah, but I think that first episode we need to tackle it.
All right, Ricky Mack, if you're listening to this,
I might send him a link to this directly, just so that way he doesn't have to find it.
Yeah,
he'll just get it straight up.
So what I was saying was, what were we talking
about? The national anthem pregame.
Oh, so the reason I said Rick is Rick's a good friend of mine, and I don't know, a long time ago, I think we were driving to Denver or something. I can't even remember now, but I have an argument that pisses people off, which is I think the national anthem should not be played before games. What does the national anthem have to do with American sports? Now, people are going to say it's American sports. That's why. It has nothing to do with running a ball or something. I mean, I love sports. It sounds like I don't. I watch football all the time and everything. But I guess my argument's pretty weak.
I mean, my argument for it isn't very great. It just pumps me up.
Yeah, I get it.
As long as long as it's an instrumental, or you have
or Whitney Houston,
or Whitney Houston,
but I think she might be dead.
Or even who was that? Fergie.
Was she good?
No.
Oh,
she butchered it.
yeah. I mean, I don't see the point. I think it's played too much, not just in sports. I'm not saying it's like a sacred song or anything, because it is not.
It's not a hymn. It's not a Tender Mercy.
But
it was a poem written on a boat.
Is that true?
Yeah.
I don't even know that.
He was.
Was it?
Oh, I can't remember his name.
Oh, I know who it was. Franklin or something. Wait.
Fitzgerald. His last name was Fitzgerald.
Yes.
I know that. But no, I believe he was a prisoner on a boat and was just
right?
like, they had him out in the harbor. He was just kind of overlooking a battle and just kind of wrote a poem about what he was watching, and then we put it to music.
That's funny. Oh, one other thing I was going to tell you. We'll steal from other podcasts.
Oh, sure.
So I listened to this guy named Greg Fitzsimmons.
Okay.
He's hilarious. He's a long time stand-up. And at the end of his show, he always said, like, you know how you're just talking about Fitzgerald or Franklin or whatever? He never corrects himself. He never checks it with his phone, which is sitting right here.
Yeah.
It's more fun, you know?
Oh, yeah.
And then what Greg does is, if he ever gets any emails or he checks it, he just corrects it the next day. He cracks me up.
Awesome. Well, we're getting here towards the end of our time that we have to record. I'm not sure exactly how much we have, but we're going to talk about some of our side endeavors. This will probably be our main podcast, but we have a few others in the works. A few others that I've sounded off with people that I know, just to see what they think.
There's one. I'm just going to say this. There's one podcast. Trey and I are at least going to do 2 podcasts because we're so good at what we do.
Of course.
But there's one, and you guys will listen to it every Friday night as long as there's football being played, high school football. And I'm not going to name the name of it because I know you guys are just at the edge of your seats wanting to know.
So
I'm terrible.
No, it's good. This will get them back for a second episode.
They're so excited.
Oh, I know. I can't imagine what the comments on Slack are going to say once we put this.
You're going to have to edit the living crap out of.
Yeah. So we'll explain Slack later and what that means. But just to wrap this up, we have a podcast. This one, Tender Mercies with Joe and Trey. But we're going to have another podcast in which.
Name it.
Okay. I guess we're going to name drop it.
Boom! Wait, weren't we going to wait till the next episode to name it?
I'll edit it out. I'll bleep it.
But edit everything out except this.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No. We're like, I won't cut any of this.
Right.
I'm just going to bleep the name.
Right.
And then they'll be back. But anyways, no. So this podcast is, and I've actually sounded this off with people, like I was saying before, it's not just going to be football.
Right.
I have siblings that, one of them has a D1 offer to go play volleyball. So we're going to do this at volleyball games, do this at basketball games because we have the prime positioning for it. Obviously, we're going to have to get some
really good names for those.
Oh, of course.
That's the most important thing.
The thing is we're going to give these kids names. We're going to get them to the next level.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, obviously, we're going to have to run this by the AD. But I think he's cool.
I don't even know if we need to do that.
Maybe not for the football one, but if we're going to set this,
we're going to bring this whole thing.
Yeah, we're going to have to get this whole setup in there. So,
oh man,
yeah, that'll be a little interesting.
That kills me.
But anyways, we'll see you guys next week. And
all right, later, Lobos.
Later, Lobos.